Ta-da! New frame. We got a new
Look at
frame.
this. Look at this. This is quite a step up. Boy, this really says something because I know it when we do the show. I'm like, we could look a little more professional, and then Sean Wingblade goes, "Hey guys, here's a frame that doesn't look like crap." Pretty awesome. This is provided by Sean Wingblade. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, I don't know how these work to the point where it came in white. You upload it onto here, and then suddenly it's a PNG, I guess, of some kind of thing where suddenly all the background is black.
Oh, right, right, yeah.
And you can
That's
look down in the bin there, the background. Oh no, it's black there. But if you put on your in your computer, it's a white frame, comes up black. So anyway,
Yep,
technology.
that's the old alpha channel, Paul. It's an alpha channel thing. It's technical. It's technical. Just one
It's
of our little
only
toys.
right we should be talking about technology when on today's Ford Fiesta Live, we're talking about, well, what came after Raiders of the Lost Ark? Blade Runner.
Yeah.
More of Harrison Ford's leading man birth. So there's no doubt at this point.
And minting another iconic character. I mean, he's just nailing it. It wasn't that popular at the time. A lot of people were confused for good reason. But Harrison Ford, he's plenty Harrison Ford.
Yeah, and it is interesting watching clips now as we're putting the show together, just to
Yeah.
see like other actors with him. I wonder if they're like, "You're the." I mean, now you get in a movie with Harrison Ford, you're like, this is going to go great. Back then, I wonder if people were like, this, Raiders maybe hadn't come out by the time they're shooting, and so you're like,
Right.
it's the Star Wars guy. We're going to do this. Maybe Sean Young's thinking, I got you, Harrison. I'll hold the movie up. Don't worry about it, you new guy.
I feel for the producers a little bit because on paper, it's like Harrison Ford in a sci-fi movie. Yeah, let's go mint some money. And then you look at this very European film that takes its time and is a meditation on and what is living. And it's so European in that way that you're just like the producers. We say it a couple times in the script too, but just like the producers, like Ridley, what are you doing? Like I wanted Star Wars. Star Wars. This is not.
That's true. I know, but you think, I mean, even back then, I thought it was, and I just wanted to see it, and I went, "Arr."
Well, yeah, I mean, before we get into the script and stuff, and we recorded a whole interview with our friend Dave Sachs, who, and if if you talk one movie with somebody, you're gonna Blade Runner. But we could talk about the first time we saw this movie. I don't think we discussed that in the interview, do we?
Actually, I can't. I don't think I can trace it back. I
No.
wonder if we did, and I wonder if I said the same thing because it. Yeah, I was not old enough to see
Right.
a rated R film.
That was the problem.
My
with Blade
brother
Runner.
though did take me to Stripes. My parents took me to vacation right around this same time, 81.
I had seen The
81
Jerk.
83. Yeah, like my brother took me to History of the World. I was 81, so I could go to it, but I don't know that I don't think I did. I just waited and then saw Jedi, and then I didn't miss anything after that.
Well, that was the thing. You're coming off of Raiders and Star Wars, and you're like, oh my God, he's in another science fiction movie. He's playing another hero. It all looks like incredibly epic. It's being advertised on TV, and we're fresh off of Empire and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we've got Star Logs with him on the cover. I mean, Harrison Ford is our man, young as we were. And then nope. Sorry, can't go to Blade Runner. It's rated R. It's like, no. So that became a legendary movie. At that time, you would compile these legendary movies like Jaws. Can't see it, but it's legendary, and Blade Runner. So as soon as we finally got a VCR and, because this one wouldn't get no re-releases as I aged, finally got to see Blade Runner one day. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I can't pin it to a moment. I mean, Raiders, of course, my brother took me. I totally remember coming home and just jumping around the apartment, all nuts about how much I loved it. But yeah, this one I can't pinpoint it. But certainly every time they recut it, I went. So I can remember those.
Yeah. And unlike Empire, which, as soon as Empire came out and then it turned winter, it was time to play Hoth in the snow, baby. And I even had I think a lot of us had the furry hooded, it was popular at the summer came. My dad made a trip to North Carolina, bought me a bullwhip, and then every tree branch in that yard was conquered. But you can't really play Blade Runner. I guess rainy day. I guess you're looking for a rainy day activity. You could go out and be sad with your
You sit there, monologue to yourself.
But not really. Whatever grade that was activity.
Well,
third,
for
fourth
those of you
grade.
tuning in who wondering where's movie nonsense, it's the second week in a row we're not doing it, and we're not going to do that going forward. We have moved on to the Ford Fiesta, which will have a similar vibe in terms of bringing you comedic content and, of course, interacting with folks who are watching, and banter as well. And the banter will vary from guests we have here to guests we've pre-recorded with, and that's this week we pre-recorded with a guest. So what we have to get done on Blade Runner today is the first half of the show. So that'll include jokes, the funny recap, this date in Ford history, Harrison Ford news, etc. All the top of show stuff. We'll crank that out with you guys here today.
If you're familiar with the format of the Ford Fiesta, and if you're not, why, it's available on all podcast platforms. Just search your favorite, and you will find the Ford Fiesta, which is how we recount every single Harrison Ford movie from the beginning.
From Dead Heat and Merry-Go-Round to Call of the Wild. And then I imagine we'll do a special episode after we see Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, well, actually, we theorize right now we're going to have to do several special episodes leading up to that because the time frame of ending this show, because we got behind. So we had talks of a telethon where just like the last 4 movies get done like just like a live stream, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's some movies in there where we may have just had a cameo that we can maybe like Expendables 3. Maybe we'll lump that in with whatever came before or after it.
That's
true.
Or
Secret Life of Pets 2 you mentioned. So
yeah, Patreon exclusive.
Patreon. Well, look, we did this. Who says we can't do a Patreon as well?
Oh, yeah.
So, we have top of show here to get to burn through the what is Blade Runner all about. And shall we start top of show, Adam? Are you recording?
Do I say it's the Ford Fiesta and then we hit the opening first?
It's in the script there, after the first few lines.
Oh, hold on. Oh,
script.
Of course.
Yes.
There it is, the script. All right. Ready?
Indeed.
Here we go.
Well, Adam, this marks my 40th year in a row of not knowing why a Blade Runner is called a Blade Runner.
A Blade Runner is a bounty hunter who tracks down and retires replicants in the Ridley Scott film of the same name.
Yeah, I know what they do. I don't know how they get Blade Runner out of that.
Well, we'll answer that and all of your questions today on the show.
Really?
Hell no! This movie brings up way too many questions, but we'll answer as many as we can because it's a brand new Ford Fiesta!
Yahoo!
And of course, you can cut this part out, but we should give thanks to David B. and David B. Music for cranking that number out for us a while back. Of course, combining a Fiesta with the wonderful world of Harrison Ford.
Yes. I went to go see Ben Bateman's show and ran into David B. there. And so we were just down the street from the old barcade, my old neighborhood in Koreatown. Do you remember that? Did I ever take you there?
Yeah, across from the KFC.
Yeah, the crazy KFC used to have the giant head that stared at my windows of the Colonel. So I took him to, and that place was built to look just like a dive bar with video games, and it hasn't changed a bit. I can say there's one thing that hasn't changed one tiny micron since my time of being in LA, and it's that place.
All right. So anyway, David B., thanks again. So Sean Wingblade, David B., you guys are coming out of the woodwork. And we appreciate
thank you so much.
Onward.
I'm Adam, I can imagine quite a wit.
And I'm Paul Priston. And if you followed or listened to the Movie Guys at all over the last 13 or so years, we've been doing this. He's a guy who's... What am I doing? This is a Harrison. Oh, wow. I didn't finish writing this. Hi, everybody. And I'm Paul Priston.
Cut that part out. The show has now just added the phrase, cut that part out, to the lexicon.
Get that cat out of here. And I'm Paul Priston. And if you followed or listened to the Movie Guys at all over the last 13 years or so, we've been doing pretty much this. And we brought someone along to do it with us this time. He spoke up early that this is the Harrison Ford movie he wanted to talk about. He's an old friend of ours, so we're happy to say Dave Sachs is joining us.
Yes, an old improv friend of both of ours. And, we have fun names at the top of every show, but... we have fun names at the top of every show, but the guest never gets one. Can we give Dave Sachs a fun name?
Dave Sachs 2049.
Oh, that'll do. Look, there's so much to talk about with 1982's Blade Runner, from the behind-the-scenes disagreements to the multiple versions to the legendary imagery and iconic sci-fi. We should get right to it, but who would we be if we did? Oh, of course. We should get right to it, but who would we be if we didn't do our regular recurring segments?
Most podcasts, don't have recurring segments. We do.
Well, there's got to be an extra charge for that.
No, Adam, the show is still free.
Wow. That makes me today years old when I found out I'm not getting paid to do this.
Well, don't dwell on that, Adam. Instead, let's get to... Well, that's fresh. All right. What's new in the world of Harrison Ford? Let's talk about it, because there's always something going on. And sure enough, he went to the Moving Target Awards in London. Well, he didn't go there. He sent a video tribute because Vic Armstrong received one of these awards. Vic Armstrong, of course, the legendary stuntman from Raiders of the Lost Ark. We talked about him last week. And, went on to have this incredible career since Raiders, moved into directing, and he's just a great member of the Harrison Ford verse. And Armstrong has 123 stunt credits on IMDb. Wow. And Ford sent this tribute video for him and said, "We've been doing this, Vic, for like 50 years. You've had the good sense to turn it into a directing job, because this running, jumping, and falling down thing is a game for the young guys. It's been a great pleasure working with you, sir."
That's awesome. I think that's the first stuntman we knew the name of, because they would do the PBS special where they showed the making of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You could only find out how 3 movies were made. It was like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars, and Superman the movie at that time. But so yeah, Vic Armstrong. Yeah, there's a whole sequence in there how they did that. So even as a young little kids, like, we've always known how that sequence was done. It's just so cool.
And I didn't write this down, but I remember when I looked up the article about the Moving Target Awards in London, I think there was also some kind of tribute to John McTiernan. So do you know what his fall from grace was? Because I forgot.
Yeah, I do.
What did he do?
There was a what? Now I can look up. I bet the details are numerous on this, but it was a wiretapping scandal. There was some guy going around Hollywood trying to say, "Hey, you can get intel on other people," or offering intel, and like sucked some people into a wiretapping scheme. It was a pretty famous thing around town, but I don't know the complete details of it. But yeah, he got in trouble for having. And then once they got caught for one of those, they realized they'd been doing this for various people. I think Gary Shanley was in that trial. Yeah, so that was it for wiretapping, the wiretapping scandal, which I don't have a whole lot of details about. But yeah, did some jail time.
I guess time heals all wounds, because McTiernan was honored at this thing. But I should have gotten all the information on that. But the point was, Vic Armstrong, Harrison Ford, there you go. And speaking of people close to Harrison Ford, when doing press for Sandman, Indiana Jones 5 co-star Boyd Holbrook, who you may know as the villain in Logan, and he was just in Vengeance, and I think he's like I said, he's on Sandman. He said of the new film, "I can assure you that it's going to be badass. I got to see like half an hour of it when I went to LA and I saw Jim Mangold. Just look at his work. Ford versus Ferrari. It's going to be fast. It's going to be badass, and it's going to have heart. All of his films have this emotional beat in them, but we've got this grand scale of Indiana Jones." So Boyd Holbrook, proud and happy to be where he is, getting the chance to be in this movie.
Pause 1 second, Paul.
I can.
I just realized I haven't been recording with QuickTime. Hold on 1 second. New recording. We'll just take the top part from this feed. And sorry, I did not do my
except for the parts where you cut out.
Oh no! All right. Well, we'll just have to record that up till now, I guess, after the show, and use that one or something. Sorry.
That part out.
Cut that part out. Cut that part. You cut me out. Okay. Sorry. No ball. That would be disastrous. All right, I'm sorry. I'm rolling now, Paul.
All right. And thanks to the internet, there are more rumors these days than news, and the biggest one going around now is that Harrison Ford will replace the late William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross in the upcoming Marvel film Thunderbolts.
That's
That was
right.
followed immediately by a rumor that Lucasfilm blocked Marvel's request to
Oh.
make an announcement at D23 because they didn't want to overshadow the Indiana Jones appearance by Ford at that event. So where this all stands as to whether Ford will do it or not, who knows?
Oh, wow. That's a good reason why it wouldn't have come out yet.
Yeah.
It's under the same company. Can you imagine? Harrison Ford's got to end up in the MCU. And I was like, oh, shouldn't I have been wanting this all along? Like, can Harrison Ford please get it? I mean, they keep bringing all these great actors in the MCU. It's just it's incredible. It's like Harrison Ford, he's not going to retire and not have been in a Marvel movie, right?
And it is true that Jeff Snyder broke that scoop on his
Yeah.
podcast. So actually, now I'm to the point where I know the guy who broke it. So maybe it isn't a rumor. Maybe he knows something, So that could be the case. That just keep track of that and see if Ford gets involved in something fun like that. Now, granted, when you sign on for MCU, like if you're, Chris Evans or Robert Downey Jr., it's a decade-long journey. Ford will be 90, so we'll see if he gets on board Thunderbolts or not. There's a new, Adam, you'll want to know this, there's a new line of Hasbro Indiana Jones figures coming out, so you want to check out that. And they were old school. The one I looked at was Marion, Sala, Tote,
Nice.
Belloc, and Indy, and the Ark itself. So
Yeah,
they're
I think
6-inch figures, and it should be pretty cool.
that's cool. And I think they emulate the original ones from 1980, the same card backs and all that sort of stuff. At the Star Wars fest that we went to, I bought a Boba Fett action figure from The Mandalorian, or the Book of Boba Fett, but it's it's designed all. It's the first action figure I bought and haven't opened because I just enjoy the presentation so much.
Yeah, I have a few of those. I'm thinking about busting them. I have an old McFarlane Toys Mackenzie Brothers set.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
now the box is yellowing, and so you can't even really enjoy it. I should just take them out of there and set them up somewhere.
I know. Just the fact that there are Mackenzie brother toys that you can display, you got to give them a little air.
Yeah. And then, of course, Googling Harrison Ford news always gets us something interesting, but nothing from Daily Mail this time. I don't know if Ford's stayed indoors this week, but there's a fun story out there about Harrison Ford giving grief to a guy running a marathon in an Indiana Jones outfit. Well, it turns out the guy's running these marathons to raise money because his son has muscular dystrophy.
Oh.
And so Ford was giving him a gentle ribbing about how he looked. So he now is going to run as Chewbacca in future things. And no surprise.
That's a way hotter thing.
That's what he said. He
in.
said, I'm doing this for my kid. He was not, because he looked all sweaty and like a mess. I think that's why Ford goofed on him. But he knew the guy. He wasn't just a goofing on some stranger. Why does he know the guy, Adam? Because he's in England. And Ford was shooting there, and the guy runs a bike shop, and that's what we know. That's how you find out. That's how you meet Harrison Ford. We found out.
Paul, I think we need to start a bike shop.
Yeah.
Bring him in.
Yeah. So get into the Ford business by getting into the bike business. So that was fun to hear about that. And one more quick recurring show segment before we get to the recap. Take it away, Adam.
Okay, this date in Ford history.
History.
October 3rd, 2017, Blade Runner 2049 opens. Not a summer movie for him, and not really a summer movie. This is a good time to be releasing a Blade Runner 2049. So that's cool. We're doing it virtually on the anniversary. No, we are doing it on the anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Our Blade Runner script on the anniversary of Blade Runner 2049.
Actually, all three of these news stories took place on October 3rd in their various years.
Oh,
and I was just thinking, because I was looking up a lot of stuff on Blade Runner. Obviously, 2049 comes up sometimes when you search.
Yeah.
And even just a still of that movie in a thumbnail is breathtaking.
It's amazing.
Roger Deakins outdid himself. He was like, enough. Give me an Oscar already. And so that film looks fantastic.
And you just think of the risk of creating a legacy sequel and destroying something about the original. And I came to this realization when I saw E.T. in Washington, D.C. with a live orchestra. That was just like watching E.T. for the first time. And it occurred to me, as such a big fan of sequels and prequels and more, and give me 2,500 Marvel movies a year, all that sort of stuff. I was like, And we could go, oh, you can ignore it. It doesn't hurt the original, but aren't you so happy there's no sequel to E.T.?
Yes.
So, Blade Runner, obviously a masterpiece on a whole different emulate it. And the fact that they did, and they captured the same atmosphere, and it looks maybe even better. I was like, wow, okay. Right on. I mean, what a dream come true,
Yeah, some of the shots in that are absolutely jaw-dropping. So, yeah, and I saw it in the theater, and I feel bad for anyone who didn't. I kind of want to put a film fest together someday here where it's just stuff you should have seen in the theater. Yeah, that's what I'll call it. The stuff you should have seen in the theater film festival. Here's your chance again. Avatar was going to be in that, but now it's re-released, obviously, for these 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Getting prepped for the sequel, but you should go see that. But, Ant-Man, you should see that in the theater. Blade Runner 2049 should be seen in the theater. So put a whole film fest of those together. Great Man should, yeah. That would be even better.
It's
film
true.
Festival of stuff that should have been seen in the first place, should have got their time in the theater. I totally would do that.
What streaming movies need a theatrical release?
Yeah, that entire Rings of Power.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
October 3rd, 1987, 30 years before Blade Runner 2017, Malcolm Ford is born on the release date, ultimately, of Blade Runner 2049. I guess it's the second son, right?
I don't want to say he's the Eric Trump of the Ford family, but I certainly know a lot more about Ben, and we talked all about that last week.
Well, I was also thinking about Ben, and because we mentioned I listened to our show, and I was like, after what movie, did Harrison Ford and his wife at the time conceive? Because we were like, he was going to be born around the time of, like, the reason his parents probably couldn't make it out to see, Journey to Shiloh, I can't remember what it was because they had a newborn baby. But it's like, was it after Dead Heat on the Merry-Go-Round? They're like, congratulations, honey, let's go have a kid. Like, I have a career now.
Yeah, that's right.
What movie is each baby's conception?
Paging Mr. Ellis is going to shoot me into a different money bracket. Let's do this. So Malcolm Ford comes out in 87, so they probably conceived in 86 or earlier in 87. Either way, there's a little break in there. 87
make him a witness baby
Ford movie. Because then Mosquito Coast 86, then Frantic and Working Girl both 88, so he took a year off and had a kid.
Yeah. And then in October 3rd, 1999, Random Hearts. This is one of the ones that I've never seen. Is released 99. So that's in Chicago. You're in Chicago still at that point, and we didn't go see this Harrison Ford movie together.
Actually, I'm not. I just exited Chicago and started working on a cruise ship. I saw Random Hearts in the Bahamas.
Oh my God!
With Fight Club and a bunch of other sort of late '99 stuff for the first time. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
I didn't see Fight Club with you either.
Had to leave the cruise ship, get on a little local bus, and take it out to the middle of nowhere to a mall and go see a movie, well away from the tourist area. So you were hitting local life in the Bahamas, but had to movies. So yeah. Random Hearts is one of the ones I saw there.
Oh, nothing can keep Paul away from movies. It was the funniest thing to see, as for the first time in history, movie theaters, movies weren't shown in America. Paul was seeing movies. You go to movie theaters and you see the marquees frozen in time. Paul's out there finding movies. As soon as they open it, it's
pandemic, right? Yeah, no, I went to Oceanside to watch Tenet. I went to Utah to see Bill and Ted's Face the Music. Now, granted, I was coming back from Wyoming, but I was like, wait, before we get to California, they're showing movies in Utah. California was still shut down. Yeah. So I saw Bill and Ted Face the Music pretty much with one other guy in the theater, but it was just so big again. I was like, movie. So
yeah. Yeah, you find movies, dude. You are the movie guy.
Well, Adam, they were making. Start that again. Well, Adam, there were making of struggles and different versions and all that. But let's get back to the point. What is Blade Runner all about? We'll tell you with our patented Movie Guys recap.
Music. That
we'll put it in post.
By the way, while we're paused briefly, John McTiernan was charged in federal court with making false statement to an FBI investigator in February 2006 about his... that's a name you heard in the news a lot at that time. Pelicano. All these people that were hiring Pelicano. David B. We need a new theme, David B. We've been using the same thing forever. That he and I talked about that. So we'll talk, and then we're going to write. And then we're going to
put out 3 times as many shows in the time, but
true.
Still,
that's true. Something I don't know, something new. But Pelicano, do we illegally wiretap producer Charles Roven, the producer of the film Rollerball, around August 2000? The whole thing is over him trying to find out what the producer of the remake of Rollerball was thinking and saying in his office privately. That's just so funny that it all centers around that. Back to the script.
Yes.
A fiery LA skyline, a close-up of an eyeball, a futuristic building. The opening shots of Blade Runner tell you everything you know about the murky future in which they take place. 2019?
2019. Oh, will this movie cover the first Trump impeachment and the U.S.-China trade war?
Well, it does cover illegal immigration, as Harrison Ford, now comfortably in the position he'll be best at from here on out, leading man, plays a former police officer who has to enforce President Trump's dream policy of killing the immigrants.
Enhanced 224 to 176.
Oh, and Trump isn't president. And I should also mention that replicants, who are supposed to be working off-planet.
But several of them have escaped and made their way back to Earth due to an open border between us and all of space. The three replicants, Zora, Pris, Leon, and their leader, Roy Batty, are the most advanced replicants ever created. Superior strength, agility, brains, eyes, and on top of that, they are identical to humans, or in the words of their creator, more human than human. Roy Batty is their leader because he apparently is so advanced, he has a last name.
And that last name.
Yeah.
They're dangerous. They've escaped to Earth. They're out in society, and only one man can find them and kill them. And that's exactly what this movie's about. Harrison Ford plays Rick Deckard. God, that's a great name. Ugh. Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and Rick Deckard.
Deckard. Yeah, you're right. It is good to say. Deckard is a legendary Blade Runner.
That was my profession. Ex-cop. Ex-Blade Runner. Ex-killer.
Is he the best of the best? Yes. Is he out of the life? Yes. Then do we have ourselves a movie? Yes.
Deckard sniffs out replicants with the talent that Harrison Ford also employs on audience members, making us look deeply into his eyes. But in this test, eye responses in the person taking the test are measured to see if they are a replicant or not. It goes by the friendly name of the Voigtkampf test.
Yes, in the Voigtkampf test, you are given a series of questions.
You see a clown who's wearing Depends.
You are staying at the Fort Wayne, Indiana Holiday Inn for a conference on bowling ball lacquer. Is that lacquer?
Lacquer.
You're staying at a Fort Wayne, Indiana Holiday Inn for a conference on bowling ball lacquer.
You're watching the episode of Kung Fu with Dennis Hopper.
You're babysitting and someone keeps calling to ask if you've checked the children.
Your rental car for the trip to Chain of Lakes is neither young nor glamorous.
And Harrison Ford is still breaking ground as one of his movies finally stars M. Emmett Walsh, who plays... Well, does M. Emmett Walsh play anybody? In fact, this movie is a bit of a chef's salad of character actors, as M. Emmett Walsh tells Deckard about Brian James killing another Blade Runner during a Voigtkampf test!
Monsieur!
Anyway, he gives him the assignment to track down 4 Nexus 6 replicants and kill them.
Mm-hmm.
The Nexus 6 are the Tesla of replicants. Fast, sleek, invented by a maniac, and like Elon Musk, indistinguishable from a real personality.
Deckard pays a visit to the inventor of the Nexus 6, Eldon Tyrell of the Tyrell Corporation. Deckard visits Tyrell the way he visits everyone in this movie. Slowly. And traveling by futuristic flying car, the Spinner, designed by Sid Mead and painstakingly shot by the recently deceased FX giant Douglas Trumbull. If you shot something as beautiful as the exteriors of 2019 Los Angeles in this movie, you'd be hesitant to cut away too.
Especially when those hypnotic, slow flybys are scored by Vangelis, the recently minted Oscar winner for Chariots of Fire, a piece of music that instantly conjures images of Clark Griswold and his family running to Wally World. I've never seen Chariots of Fire, and I don't plan to.
Tyrell lives in a gigantic futuristic pyramid, a Douglas Trumbull shot that is so good, It's worshipped as a sacred text in some corners of the world. Tyrell, the futurist, the Egyptian-themed castle. As the symbolism piles up like a Ridley Scott movie, Tyrell also has Coke bottle glasses. Hold on, I have to say that one time. Tyrell the futurist, the technologist, lives by natural light in an Egyptian-themed castle as the symbolism piles up like a Ridley Scott movie. Tyrell also has Coke of eyes later. Let's just say that perception is reality, and Ridley Scott's a little more European than George Lucas.
Which raises the question, what is reality? We're introduced to Rachel, Tyrell's beautiful secretary, played by Sean Young of almost Raiders of the Lost Ark with Tom Selleck. Tyrell has brought Deckard, the best of the best at spotting replicants, to test him on a human subject. Deckard administers the Voigtkampf test.
You're trying to explain the end of 2001 to an 8-week-old puppy.
You finish mowing the lawn only to realize it's Art Garfunkel's lawn.
You're in 1963 Greenwich Village. You're on in 5, but you forgot your ukulele.
You're writing a parody of I'm Too Sexy with Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, shit, I lost my place. Hold on. Damn it. Okay. You're cast as Vicky Vale in Batman when you break your arm while training for the sequence where Vicky Vale rides a horse?
You're the new head of Warner Brothers, and you think Batgirl sucks.
Deckard discovers that Rachel isn't human, and also that she doesn't know. It's the latest advancement by Tyrell. Replicants with the Advanced Moral Quandary 6000 engine that think they are human and look like Sean Young and have memories.
It's sci-fi written by Nietzsche, because if our lives are just memories, and memories can be implanted, then what is the difference between us and them? And if they're basically human, then how can you kill them?
What the hell was happening to me?
It's the exact same question that Raiders of the Lost Ark doesn't raise.
And if you think a meditation on what makes humans humans would make for a slow sci-fi movie, you'd be right. But you don't go to the Sistine Chapel for the pizza. Ridley Scott's signature painstaking visual precision has never been more on display because he's young, he's hungry, and he hasn't had 10 years taken off his life by making Blade Runner yet.
But quicker than a studio executive can say, Ridley, what the hell am I looking at here? He plays 3 notes on a piano and summons a unicorn? It's time to do what they signed up for. Detective cop stuff. Deckard searches the apartment of Leon, a replicant who killed a Blade Runner, and finds photos and, in the bathroom, a reptilian scale.
Enhanced 224 to 176.
And then, after the exhilarating searching scene, Blade Runner slows it down a bit to...
Enhanced 224 to 176.
Yeah, I had it cut because I pulled just enhance.
Right.
For some reason, it's got this.
Okay.
You'll have to trade that out later.
Yeah, it's supposed to just fill in. Enhance.
Behind the scenes.
We'll figure it out. Enhance Deckard's detective credibility. Deckard views the photograph in a futuristic, but also not, piece of tech which allows you to infinitely
enhance
a photograph. And once you
enhance
this one, the replicant Zora can be seen in the background. Zora is a pleasure model, which means she helps men
enhance
their pleasure.
Deckard finds Zora in a district that looked like a nightmare to shoot. How many extras, Ridley? I'm thinking 20? How about 600? And rain. Lots of rain on all those extras. Well, being a master detective, Deckard is also a master of disguise, pretending to be an agent to get close to her, ultimately shooting her down in the street. Ridley, can we just shoot her in the dressing room? I was thinking out on the rainy street with 600 extras in the rain, but maybe she runs through 6 panes of glass first, a winter-themed shop window, so maybe it's snowing too. Anyway, he shoots her in the back.
While Deckard tracks down the 4 replicants, they're on the loose. Roy Batty, played incomparably by the already incomparable Rutger Hauer. Batty and Leon are... Oh, sorry. And Leon. I'll just say and Leon. Roy Batty, played incomparably by the already incomparable Rutger Hauer, and Leon are trying to get to Tyrell to turn off their limited lifespan as the clock is ticking and Batty wants...
I want more life, fucker.
Hey, language.
I want more life, father.
They visit David Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China, creator of Their Eyes. There's that metaphor again. Adam, did you ever think that perception is reality? Pris, meanwhile, locates the robot inventor and geneticist J.R. Sebastian, played by William Sanderson.
Hi, I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. This is my other brother Daryl.
The rich man's Tracy Walter. Pris's advanced replicant powers give her 10 times the sexiness of a regular human Daryl Hannah. She manipulates Sebastian to gain his trust and entrance to his apartment full of creepy toys.
Okay, yep. Room full of nightmares. Not going in there.
Deckard has a difficult heart-to-heart telling Rachel that she's not human and that he's attracted to robots. It's the 80s, so he forces himself on her, but ultimately it isn't a stretch to think that she's attracted to Harrison Ford. Later, following her into the street, he runs into the replicant Leon and gets his ass kicked by the Terminator-like strength and speed of the killer droid.
He's ultimately saved by Rachel, who kills Leon with Deckard's gun. So the question of, is killing a replicant killing a human, gets a new layer to ponder while high at midnight at the Village North in Chicago. Also, what if the color blue to him isn't the color blue to her? Anyway, Rachel and Deckard tend to each other's...
Roy Batty uses J.R. Sebastian to gain access to Tyrell, who cannot give him more life. Sorry, life is death. And so Batty takes Tyrell's life from him. It's murdering by metaphor as Batty sticks his thumb into Tyrell's eyes further and further until he dies.
Meanwhile, Deckard has followed Pris to Sebastian's apartment where he gets beat... up some more. But he finds the courage to kill a replicant and takes Pris down with another iconic Harrison Ford prop.
Then it's finally down to Deckard and Batty. Batty is the superior and more vicious fighter. Deckard is outmatched and even robbed of his pistol hand when Batty slowly and methodically breaks 3 of Deckard's fingers and then puts the gun back in his hand, which is a pretty boss villain move.
But Batty's time on Earth is ticking down. He's dying, and being a Nexus 6, he has advanced powers of contemplation as he winds down with one of the great death scenes in cinema history, and a speech that was entirely improvised. No, I'm totally kidding. I hate when people say that.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain.
But that didn't become an Eric Clapton song, I'll never know.
Oh, how that didn't. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. But how that didn't become an Eric Clapton, I thought it was like their missed opportunity.
Tears in the Rain.
But how that didn't become an Eric Clapton song, I'll never know. And so closes Blade Runner, but depending on what version you see, either Rachel and Deckard take a sunlight stroll through the woods that looks a lot like the opening helicopter shots of The Shining.
I didn't know how long we'd have together. Who does?
Or Rachel and Deckard leave his apartment together after finding an origami unicorn left by Gaff, and a vocal flashback of Gaff saying it's too bad she won't live, but who does? Which many seem to think means that the producer saw this and said, "You're killing me, Ridley! What is this?" But to the rest of us in the back of the Princess Thief, might be a replicant.
All of us might be replicants. What is life? What is reality? How can podcasts be neither? I mean, I can't.
Who does? I didn't know. Where do I come from? Where am I going? How long have I got?
And so the movie ends, never answering the question of whether androids dream of electric sheep.
All right, and that's Blade Runner. Now we'll recap Blade Runner: The Work Print.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
okay.
think we've done enough. We've done enough. All right, come on. Let's get on to our guest.
Okay, Dave Sachs is coming up next. You can change all the cues or put them where they're supposed to be.
Right, exactly. And then that gets edited, folks. That's how it works.
Oh, my God. I'm going to turn the fan on. Hold everything.
See, now that's good podcasting right there. Paul, put up with some sweat for clean sound during this whole thing. Thank you, Paul. You can press stop recording on the QuickTime now.
you can start pressing in there.
All right. Save as. And then at the very end of the show, after the credits, do you want to record the beginning of this again?
You just record the parts where you cut out.
Oh, that's true. Oh, right. I'm editing this. Okay. All right. Hold on, folks, while we save. This is good media management. Do it live so they can see what good media management looks like. Can we throw up my desktop here? I want to show you how I save these things.
There we go. All right,
Movie Guys, Ford Fiesta, Blade Runner.
it's on you. Cut out constantly, but it didn't hurt. Yes, Adam will address that over the next 2 weeks while I'm not on the show.
Right, so, Paul. What do we do for next week's show?
Whatever you care to do.
Yeah.
I
guess I could summarize we could put up clips of the old shows, I guess.
Yeah, play
talk
old
about
shows.
General Harrison Fordness, or just do a live commentary of an episode of Young Indiana Jones. Oh,
sure. I need to see all those anyway for the upcoming podcast I want to do on the counting down to Indy.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some more content here that we can share. We did pre-record our interview with Dave Sachs. Now, I think we're coming back on the 23rd with a full show, and we probably will have Mark Ellis to join us to talk about Return of the Jedi. That's the goal.
So you're going to do it live?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
So he'll be here with us, which would be fun. And then, but yeah, the 2 weeks between now and then, Adam's going to do some sort of fun Ford-related shows.
Yeah, I have to think of some sort of theme show.
Yeah. You know what? There's probably old video of us doing the shows with guests that we've never played since it's otherwise an audio podcast until now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just pull up Dead Heat on the Merry. Show some clips of that or whatever we did for that, and show the clips of that movie. And I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Whatever you said.
New territory.
Your audio went out. But
yeah. I was just saying I'm going to recap the Pelicano trial.
Oh, there you go. I apparently need it recapped. I forgot why McTiernan was not with us anymore creatively. But we do have a clip of Dave Sachs that we keep talking about, and if you just search you may not know Dave Sachs from his various adventures in the world because he's just a movie loving friend of ours. He's not necessarily a guy out there doing podcasts or doing shows and movies or whatever. But he loves Blade Runner. So we had him on the show, and we pre-recorded his segment on Blade Runner, and we can play that clip. Adam, thanks for coming on the show. You have a clip for us?
Boy, I really don't know what the clip is, Dave. Not sure here. The network just sent it. I don't know.
Paul, have you ever seen anybody not have aware of what the clip is? No, I haven't, Dave. It's crazy.
No, this is him. This is one of his favorite things to say about the movie, which is that Harrison Ford, I think he'll say at the beginning here, always says this is a movie. You know, Harrison Ford thought this was a failure. I was shocked to see him show up in 2049. Just shocked.
Yeah.
But because he always badmouthed this one as well as a bad experience, and I guess time heals all wounds. But he always said it was a movie where the detective never detects. Dave does not feel that way about this movie.
I'll play it.
But for Harrison Ford afterwards, I guess the quote that I had heard him say was that it's a detective movie where the lead doesn't do any detecting.
Yeah.
And, that has always frustrated me because I can appreciate if he doesn't like the movie. Maybe he's never seen it. There are actors that don't go back and watch their own work. That's okay. He's allowed to not like the work he was involved in. But the problem is he's wrong. And I hate that part. I would love to be able to sit down next to Harrison Ford and say to him, look, brother, if this is the only reason, if this is the reason you don't like this movie, I got great news for you. You're going to love this movie because Rick Deckard does a huge amount of detecting in this movie. He starts out as, he doesn't want to do it. He gets pulled in by Bryant, but then they go and they review the tape when Holden gets shot. Then he goes to Leon's apartment, or he goes to Terrell. Then he goes to Leon's apartment. He gets the thing out. He puts it in his evidence bag.
Literally an evidence bag.
Literally an evidence bag that he carries with him. The only people I know that carry evidence bags are detectives. But and they took the photograph, and he follows up on this. And really, it is a plot motivation. It's maybe not the greatest detective movie of all time, but it's like Adam and I were talking about. I don't think it's trying to be the greatest detective movie of all time. But it is a solid detective movie. I mean, it moves forward one step to the next through his detecting, and then as a result of where he's going, then other things unfold and we learn more about him.
Yeah, I'd have to say we agree.
Yeah, and all that enhanced stuff. I mean, that's him detecting as well.
Stuff.
He's poring over tape and looking at crime scenes and trying to figure out who's where. And
and also the key. But it's not trying to be the world's greatest detective movie. It's just like that's the genre it's chosen to latch onto, much like serials, was what Star Wars and Indiana Jones latched onto. They weren't so faithful to them that, they made them crappy also, like they made them artistic achievements,
Yeah. And we also appeared on Allison Salamone's podcast. You've never seen it. This is a show she put together where she hasn't seen these classic movies, what we call movie jail here at the Movie Guys.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Blade Runner, movie jail, we'll lock you under the jail for that one. You should have seen this by now. And so she set out to see these movies. That's honestly what the Ford Fiesta is too. There are Harrison Ford movies we haven't seen, so we make a podcast to make sure we watch them. Blade Runner, Raiders, Empire. We're in the 80s. We've seen all these ad nauseum. But we're going to get to some rare stuff that we haven't seen.
We started with rare stuff.
But this isn't rare, and Allison hadn't seen it, so we went on her show to talk about it. I pulled a brief clip. It's an audio podcast, so not much to see here. But we're talking about the future as represented in Blade Runner.
Okay. My other favorite part, too, about all of that, this is one of my first things that I noticed, was all of the very overt product placement in this movie.
Famous.
For things that are no longer relevant in 2022 for a movie taking place in 2019, like the TDK, Pan Am. I mean, you got Coca-Cola in there, but that's still around. But
you know what? I do love, and I wish every product that was advertised in this had gone under, so that it seems even more from a future that is, like the fact that you see Coca-Cola kind of ruins it, because if you're just watching this and you're young now, you're like, Pan Am must be some fake product they came up with. It's just like the idea is all this advertising. The ones that are still around kind of ruin it now. For sure.
Well,
Crystal Pepsi would have been a better choice.
Well, Coke survived, but then they gave us new Coke. So did they?
Yeah, did they?
Right. Did it?
Yeah. Boy, were we warmed up for that conversation. She's like, you want to talk Blade Runner? I think we'd recorded our interview with Dave, which is now coming up in a couple months ago. But at the time we did Allison's show, it was like pretty fresh. Yeah. We're like, we got thoughts on that. And we've already warmed them up.
Yeah, I think we talked about that with Dave too. So you'll hear more on the crazy future of the past.
It's Atari, Cuisinart.
The 1980 movie that takes place in 2019, which was now 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's nuts. In Los Angeles. In the Bradbury building as well. Now that you're, do you do any tours that take people to Blade Runner locations, Paul?
The LA Film Locations Tour. They're all downtown. I don't have downtown on the map yet, although this is picking up steam. I'm starting to book a lot of tours, and so
that's great. The Halloween tour, right?
No one's taken me up on that yet. As much as I try to give them something different, no one's. But the regular tours, mostly the Hollywood tour. Although a lot of people like combining Hollywood with other parts and going extra time and all that. So I'm doing a lot of even further customized than I already promised tours. But if I get this going how I want it going, I want to open the downtown tour, and that would be on a bike, because it would just be such hell to drive around. So we get bikes, electric motorbikes or what have you, and we drive around. Absolutely. The Bradbury building is Batty's apartment complex at the end of the film. The 2nd Street tunnel is the tunnel they keep cutting to all the time in the film, just driving through with like voiceover when there was voiceover and music as well. So there's a couple locations downtown.
Yeah. A few mutual friends of ours stayed in town. Justin, who was on our episode about a year ago of the movie Nonsense, and Steve, and they stayed in the, what is it called downtown? The
Biltmore?
The Biltmore? No.
Ghostbusters?
No. True Lies.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now either. But that's like my new favorite location, because I love True Lies. But also, some places you go and, you go, you got to look at, you go to some iconic places. There's no mistaking the road from Back to the Future. There's no mistaking the house from E.T. But, some of them, you're like, oh, well, at this time, or like we went to the, you took me to the Psycho where she gets the used car lot in Psycho. Well, across the street where the cop's standing in Psycho, that's all gone and is now like a giant complex. So, looking at stuff like that. But you're like, oh, I'm in True Lies. There's the 2 elevators they take up. It was just so awesome. And
where he's on the horse, right?
Where he's on the horse.
Yeah.
Right. Because it just never occurred to me, why is there pools of water in a hotel lobby when I watched True Lies? It was just a cool thing that like a horse looked like basically a horse is going through the river, but he's just in a lobby of a hotel. And then I walked in that place and I'm like, why are there pools of water? There's throughout the whole thing. And I'm like, when I realized, I'm like, oh my God, it's the True Lies, and there's the elevator, and there's the weird water that I just never questioned for a second in that movie. And then out the northeast exit of that is the bank from Heat. So
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you'd have a good Segway tour, all these locations around there.
Segway. We should take Segways. Pat Peach chiming in. We shot the opening kidnapping of Suicide Kings in that tunnel, the 2nd Street tunnel. Pat Peach has worked on many a film.
I didn't know he worked on Suicide Kings, or maybe I did back in the day. But that's right, Suicide Kings. Yeah, famous tunnel. Yeah, that tunnel's in a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, and of course the Back to the Future tunnel is the one that gets you into Griffith Observatory.
That's the one, because there's a very similar tunnel, and we went through that when I was with my friends here, and I was like, oh, this looks like that, but it's only just the entrance looks like the Back to the Future because it's the same design. But
yeah, would that be the one in Sepulveda, perhaps? Yeah, just north of the Skirball.
Right, it looks just like the one up there at the. Yeah. So at first you go, "Oh, is this the Back to the Future?" It's not.
Yeah, but that's in Griffith Park, and it also is the entrance to Toontown.
Entrance to Toontown. Where's the tunnel from Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, where the plane goes through the tunnel neck and neck with them? Is that L.A.?
I gotta assume it's Europe somewhere, but
yeah.
Maybe. I'm pretty sure it's.
And the Rocky IV tunnel, is that here?
Rocky IV tunnel.
Yeah,
I just saw that.
There's no easy way out.
Is it in one of the 5 montages in that movie?
Yeah, exactly. The white tile thing. Lots of light. There's no easy way out. Anyway.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got. What are people chiming in with here on the thing? Oh yeah, someone trying to tell us what happened to McTiernan. Thanks, Smithy.
You wiretapped the producer Rollerball.
I think Adam hit Wikipedia on that one.
Yeah, I just love that it's over Rollerball, the true story.
I will send you all the clips I pulled for these cues, and you can use the right one for all the enhance. I don't know why I pulled that first one and then
enhance.
I cut it down. Yeah, he only says enhance once, that you could have it separate.
Oh, really?
Enhance. Wait.
He doesn't. Yeah.
Otherwise, he's always saying enhance 42 to 37 or something. So it's tough to pull that word enhance.
Hey, there's Sean Wingblade.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you for tuning in. And look at this. Look how nicely you go with the backdrop. In fact, I think we need to change the blue to yellow to even make this more cohesive. Something like that. I mean, on our end, on the.
Let's see. He sent us a couple of these. Is there one that we could see a little more of Harrison Ford's head? A little bit. Yeah.
We'll figure it out, folks.
Yeah, I'll leave it there.
This is not what you come here for. You come here for Monday Movie Nonsense, and we've stopped doing that. So.
Anyway, as you can imagine, it's time for a commercial.
You okay, miss?
I'm fine, thanks. My horse. Thanks a lot.
Honda, legend. Honda Coolio.
Honda Coolio.
Yes. Oh, yes. Rest in peace, Honda Coolio.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't even think about that.
All right. Well, I think that's all the show we got. We filled an hour.
We did. And that's what you come to expect from us. An hour. Now.
Yes. So Adam's going to do probably a highly interactive and social show next couple of weeks with some content and fun stuff. I can help pull some of that for you.
Maybe we'll do some of the best of the Ford Fiesta. I'll pull some clips from the other thing, and I'll think of something else goofy to do. Live commentary.
We'll hit the ground running again on the 23rd with 23rd. Is that right?
That's
24th.
Nice.
24th with Mark Ellis and Return of the Jedi. You've seen his stand-up and his take on Return of the Jedi is a great one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
this is great. We're looking forward to it. And that's, people wait 2 weeks of us not doing a proper Ford Fiesta just yet. It's going to happen from time to time. So they can wait for Mark Ellis. That's going to be a lot of fun. That was our first thought. Obviously, we're like, Return of the Jedi, who do we get? And it might be interesting at this point now, because when we first approached him, it was at the top of season 9. Let's do a supplemental Empire Strikes Back. See if we can get Christian in. That'd be fun.
Sure.
We'd asked him initially, but it was a very busy time. We got Chance, but now you're like, well, okay, maybe it's...
Yeah, I would like to hear the two of them argue about which is better, which is the better Star Wars movie, Empire or Jedi, because I know, Mark loves Jedi by also saying that the other ones don't deliver the way Jedi does with its finale feel. It's everything you wanted. It's the big win for the rebels, but
and ultimately, Return of the Jedi ends up the format of Star Wars to some degree, right? Like when you feel like you've got a Star Wars film, you've got a kind of Jedi feeling thing, It's like even in Solo or something like that, or Rogue One, it's like they're going to the bunker to plant the bombs, and like there's the sort of land war men on a mission thing that's fully in Jedi. Empire is like a big outlier. It really doesn't follow.
Yeah.
Which is why people love it and why it's great, is like, wow, this is a radical Star Wars movie. It's like, what a chance to take for your sequel to make something there's never gonna be another Star Wars movie made like that one again,
Yeah, Jedi, I mean, they brought back the Death Star, like they did the same thing. So, they were just like, let's not take too much of a risk, although it clearly worked to take one on the previous movie, but they got a little safer with Jedi, and we'll hear Mark talk all about it, and we'll have our usual comedy, and by 3 weeks from now or whatever, we'll have plenty of Harrison Ford news to chat about. And they keep saying also, when I looked up the news for this week, that the Indy trailer was online, even just somebody recorded it illegally at the footage that they showed at D23 Expo. I don't want to see that, but I wanted to see and I wanted to see something legit soon. Maybe we'll get that. I have a feeling they'll wait for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Oh, you think? Oh, yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
It's the big Disney.
I mean, it's just going to be a teaser at first. It's going to show you 4 shots, all in the first 15 minutes, and everyone's going to act like they showed the ending.
You're right. Everyone will tell you why they hate it, and then they'll go. Yeah.
Right. I'm worried about this one. Yeah, you're going to love it. Or much like what happened this week was everybody stating they weren't. With Logan and Deadpool, right? That everyone said this ruins Logan. This is giant consensus. To bringing Wolverine back to, even though in the timeline it's before, to team up with Deadpool is ruining the legacy of Logan. And not one of those people said they weren't going to go see that ruination of the legacy of Logan. All of those people complaining about the ruination are still going to see that and still excited about it and still actually happy about that. That's Twitter. Everybody complaining.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this all the time. The number of times all the people who hate Phantom Menace or The Last Jedi must have seen it to have the minute details about why it's terrible that they have.
Studied like the Zapruder tape.
Like movies they love, they didn't see that much.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, and somebody posted today, somebody we know retweeted, I can't remember, but there's now this thing of saying that like they showed Taika Waititi in Green Lantern and said this is like his second, or his this is a worse movie than this Taika Waititi movie or whatever, something like that. I'm like, we've rewritten Green Lantern now. I'm like, if you think rewriting Green Lantern as a good movie just because it's now old, which is really what happens, there's not some critical reevaluation of Superman 4. We just like it now, because we're older and now it's nostalgia. So I'm like, okay, Green Lantern's going through that. If somehow even Green Lantern is immune through the passage of time, then Thor: Love and Thunder stands no chance of its legacy being that's a bad movie. Like, that one is going to be a year from now, I think everybody will be saying, oh no, that's one of the best, I think.
Yeah, and feel free to get a hold of me. My Twitter's there. I'll tell you why Thor: Love and Thunder is awesome.
Oh my God.
I have no problem telling you that.
First of all, I think a lot of criticism of movies comes down to people not realizing how hard a movie is to make. You look at that movie and I'm just like, that looks like one hard movie to make. I tell you what, maybe that's me, an old timer. I'm like, that's a good movie.
And they could have made it easier. The choices could have been simpler, but yeah.
Yeah. And anybody that thinks Thor Love and Thunder is a bad movie has to watch Superman 3 times. Now and then tell me.
Saw it in the theater. All I remember is the product placement. And that's funny. That's one of the first times I ever saw like a door open, and there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken bag hanging on the back of the door. Like the door opened to camera, like.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I'm a young man, but I know this. I can spot this already as a little cynical.
It is weird that product placement started happening in a time with very different producers than we have now that are not afraid to be like, nobody's going to care. We want our money, because I believe it's opens up and the Pepsi machine behind it takes up that entire doorway. So like there's some movie where this happens from that time. They open the door and it's just Pepsi and then the lead. It's like, it's just insane. Yeah, they were pretty. Or throwing Zod into the Coca-Cola sign in Times Square, and then a cigarette, and then a Marlboro cigarette truck.
It was weird that
the brand of Superman.
Two things had to happen. First of all, they made the fun Ryan Reynolds video with Hugh Jackman announcing that Wolverine was returning. Man, they made the second one. Then you saw the second one that they made, almost had to make, to explain how this works in the timeline, but then also to show that their camaraderie's on point and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then the people, because I try to go on Twitter, but I post things on Twitter because I want people to see what we're doing.
Sure.
And then, still even, did we need this movie? Is there something in Deadpool that's requiring that this movie?
Says guy who's absolutely going to see it.
Yeah, outside of like the million times that Jackman gets, ribbed by Deadpool in the movie, it's going to be a blast.
And nothing could be more perfect. That's what's so weird about saying anything negative about it. Is like, nothing could be more perfect. What is the most perfect superhero announcement you've heard? Than this?
If they announced that Short Round was going to be in the new Indiana Jones movie, everyone would have a problem with it. But they just post a photo of the two of them hugging at D23 Expo. Oh, it's adorable. Yeah, but if he was in the movie, you'd hate it. You'd be like, whoa, we don't need... Why do they have to go back to this well again? Or, oh, they're, just working off of everything everywhere all at once. Hype. It makes me crazy. Everybody sucks. Why are we doing... Who are we doing this show for?
All movie critics want to be the difficult father that movies don't need. Look, my love is going to take some winning. All right. Okay, buddy.
Shut up.
Yeah, good. I wish Thor Love and Thunder, a movie that took an impossible amount of effort to make, wins your love eventually, person. Guy.
Dummy.
Dummy.
Yeah. All right, well, that's our show. And tune in next week to see whatever Adam sort of conjures. I actually think it'd be fun to...
Probably mix a best of, and I'll see, I don't know, maybe we'll do some sort of Harrison Ford trivia or something like that. That'd be fun to do. Something like that. I don't know. It'll be Harrison Ford themed, whatever it is, and probably involve clips of old shows, and I don't know. We'll figure something out. I'm sure we've got a lot of things we've meant to do or segments on Harrison Ford that we never got to.
Oh,
so,
yeah, I have some of those written down, so we'll reconnect. All right, that's it for now, and then again, Mark Ellison, Return of the Jedi on the 24th.
Yeah, that's exciting. Awesome.
Cool. See you then.
All right.
Where do I come from? Where am I going? How long have I got?